Presented by LinkedIn. It's Valentine's Day, and it's a Valentine's Day battle between North Carolina Central and Coppin State in the MEAC. As the regular season comes to a close in the next couple of weeks, still trying to solidify their positioning as the MEAC tournament closes in. Derek Jones and Lance Blanks with you, and as we take a look at this matchup, certainly for the side of North Carolina Central, Justin Wright has to play a key factor tonight for this team, Lance.
Yeah, Derek, you see it there in the graphic, averaging close to 20 points a game. I think this young man is arguably one of the hottest players in the nation, not only in the MEAC. As they say, it's a cliche, but it means it with this young man. He can score at every level, especially around the basket. And as you see with that body, he's extremely strong.
On the other side for Coppin State, Kyle Cardacey has been a big factor coming off of a big performance on Saturday.
Yeah, Kyle had a great game, knocking down threes. He was 4 for 10 from that spot, something that Coppin State needs because Jesse Zarzuela, their big-time point guard, has been out with an injury, so they needed his scoring. But it's not only on that end, but also his defense, which Coach Dixon relies on because he can do that well. It'll be interesting to see if he's matched up with Wright on the perimeter tonight, Derek.
Well, there's a little bit of a power issue right now inside of the arena at Coppin State, so a little bit of a wrench thrown into the plans. So it looked like these two teams were just about set to tip things off, but they'll have to get settled in here in a moment and wait a little longer. And, you know, Lance, as we take a look at this matchup, obviously North Carolina Central and Coppin State met back on February 5th. Close game. Coppin State trying to even this season series out.
Yeah, they met not long ago, so that's life with COVID in terms of what teams have to do. The coaches both have talked about some of the nuances of what you're having to do with how you play your schedule, how you manage minutes with these young men, how you coach them. But it is what it is in terms of the schedule, and you have to play who's in front of you and try to play at your highest peak. That's why these guys are so good and why they compete and practice the way they do. So this will be a good rematch and test for both teams, Derek.
Season 13 for Lavelle Moten leading North Carolina Central University. And we had a chance to catch up with him today, and certainly we'll get into that conversation as this game plays out. He had a lot of fun things to discuss, and his honesty is just tremendous. But as we said, we'll get into it. It'll be the Battle of the Eagles underway in Baltimore, Maryland. And nearly a steal right off the bat. Both teams fueled at times by their defense. Into the corner. Three ball up. That's good. Right away, Sita Conte getting his first start of the season, drilling a three. Monroe, King, Wright, Boone, Miller Jr., the five for North Carolina Central University. Wing
Derek,
three,
these are
missing.
Two contrasts in style. Watch Coppin State. I mean, they take a ton of threes. That's what they do. That's a rarity there. About 50% of their shots will come from beyond the arc, which is just unique. There's no such thing as a bad shot.
Missed three off the top. As Dontavius King could not get that one to drop, and then to Tark at the controls. Conte from the top again. And that ball out of bounds. It'll go over to North Carolina Central University. Well, Lance, one thing you'll be hearing a lot of in this game is about three-point shot attempts. Coppin State can put them up.
Yeah, and it's because of that man there, Coach Dixon. He talked about it. He's very positive. Coach Dixon is about his guys getting those shots up. He wants them to be good shots, but he wants them to play with pace and take a bunch of them. They attempt about 60 shots a game, and 29 of them will come from beyond the arc. They're very, very consistent with that, Derek, in terms of the way they play and what they look for.
Far and away the conference leader in three-point attempts. They have taken 667 threes coming into play this evening. Prolific shooting
they're
team.
really never out of a game because of that.
Mike Hood getting to the rim and scoring, and right off the bat, 5-0 in favor of Coppin State.
Yeah, and they'll need that from the redshirt junior, because with Jesse, their primary point guard, being out, they need playmaking, either scoring for oneself and or assisting. So Hood getting that basket is huge, and it also, Derek, it takes a lot of pressure off of their perimeter shooting, because as much as they love to shoot threes, they don't shoot them great. Shoot about 29% from that mark on the season. Only one guy who's taken more than three threes who shoots as high as 32%. That's their best. They just do it with volume and come at you.
Ninatark picks up the foul. That's his first. One foul each side. Randy Miller Jr. will launch, a little short. Five-0 lead early on. As Hood will fire, front deep and hit. So Mike Hood hits the triple, 8-0 to start for Coppin State.
Well, this is one of the dangers of Coppin State. And Kyle did it last game. He made 4 in the first 5 minutes.
And Justin Wright, who has been on fire lately in the MEAC, finally ends the offensive drought for North Carolina Central.
Well, when they need to get a bucket, that's where they're going to go. They're going to go to Wright. I thought they were playing the odds a little too much, not allowing him to get a shot earlier in the game.
Baseline drive by Hood, and that results in a whistle.
Well, Hood is so good at getting to the basket, and you gotta love the way he made sure that he put a body on a defender to force the official to make a call. Watch this, there's really no basket to be made, but he goes and gets hit and throws the ball up. That's just well executed, Derek.
So Hood active early offensively. We'll see some substitutions from the bench here. Lavelle Moten will counter with Cameron Butler into the mix. Second one, that is no good. Butler swoops in for the rebound. That's a second foul, by the way, on Dontarius King. That's a pull-up J missing out of the hands of Eric Boone. It'll be a loose ball foul against North Carolina Central.
Yeah, but you got a good shot out of that action. Butler tried to set the screen, roll right down, but did the spin move right down the lane. That's a good shot, just unable to finish.
North Carolina Central missing on 4 of their first 5 shots. They trail it 9-2. No stranger to being down in MEAC games. This has been a familiar position for them. The trick has been they've been able to battle through the adversity. Near turnover and now a turnover, as Ninatark could not keep that ball in play.
I think that's who NC Central is as a ball club, Derek. They really grind through the end of games. So being down is not a big deal, and especially having Wright, because they know whenever they need a bucket, they can go get it through this young man right here.
Wright falls to the floor, able to get back up. The kick. Trying to drive and go up with it was Chris Monroe. But a jump ball call. The possession will go over to Coppin State.
Coppin State has done a great job at the defensive end here early. Derek, and Coach Dixon talked about it. We wanted to talk about threes, and he wanted to talk about defense. They do a good job of keeping you out of the middle of the floor, not allowing easy baskets.
Speaking of which, a contest there on Butler, who was trying to go up strong.
And Conte blocked that and did a good job of not hitting the body or the arm. The arms just are extremely long. That's just help side defense. And sometimes you just need guys who can make plays. And that's what happened there, Derek. A guy just literally made a play defensively.
Layup missed by Boone. The follow is in from Cameron Butler. So Butler trying to get going, averaging 3 points per game. It's a 9-4 contest.
Yeah, and Coach talked about it today. He needs guys to come along with Wright. So that's big with Butler getting involved early in the game. But Coppin State starts off a little hot, up 9-4 early.
Get crackin' and feel unbeatable with new omelet bites from Dunkin'. Bacon and cheddar.
Exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by LinkedIn. Whatever you're in for, we're in it together. It is a 9-4 lead for the Coppin State Eagles over North Carolina Central. Thanks for joining us here tonight on Valentine's Day. Hello, everybody. Derek Jones and Lance Blanks with you this evening. And Lance, quick start here for the Coppin State Eagles.
Well, who would have thunk it? Of course. I mean, these guys love to launch from beyond the arc. They knock some down. Kyle Cardacci did that in their last game. They were unable to sustain it. But I thought NC Central did a good job of not panicking. They'll weather the storm. I think this will be a battle as we move closer to the middle of the first half, Derek.
And speaking of storms, it was a scheduling storm early on this season for Coppin State. They had their hands full to begin this season. 4 games in the first 5 days, 10 games in the first 19 days, and the first 30 days. I mean, Lance, this is as rough of a schedule as you'll see to start out a year.
Yeah, it's extremely arduous, and it's psychological, not only because of potentially losing games, but also the travel. And so I think Coach Dixon is the perfect coach for this kind of schedule because of how positive he is with his guys and how he instills the fact that they need to compete, but also do it in a manner where they have a good spirit about him. I love that in his demeanor and talking to him and the way he storms the sidelines. Incredibly positive coach.
Absolutely. You'd think with the kind of season they've had, that would rattle them. That has not been the case. They had a game earlier this season against Drexel where they forgot their uniforms in Baltimore and had to play in Drexel's practice jerseys. I mean, it's been that kind of year, at least from the non-conference schedule season perspective, but they have weathered the storm.
Yeah, and Coach, I mean, none of that bothers him. He almost has the blinders on, and I love that. It speaks to his history as a former NBA player, and he talked about it. Guys like Coach Greg Popovich from afar have influenced him, Monty Williams, Nate McMillan. So many people have impacted Coach, which obviously trickles down. Michael Jordan to his players.
Wright's pass, too hot. Aimed for Butler. And an unforced error there by North Carolina Central. They trail at 9-4. Mike Hood has the hot hand early on for Coppin State with 6.
Yeah, and that's big for Hood to get them going this way. But the defense, again, it's forcing NC Central into things that they don't typically do, such as that pass you saw there, making them play a little faster and a little out of kilter for where this team is right now in the season, Derek.
Conte. The drop for Hood. Hood feeds it inside, and that shot attempt will lead to a foul as once again Conte active. And the Bronx, New York native will head to the free throw line for a pair.
And how about the little pocket pass going out of, I mean, that was a great pass. Scooped right into a little lane and a crevice. Watch this, there's that pass right there. I mean, there was no hesitation got it right into the little pocket there with the foul. The defense had no opportunity to react.
Conte starting his first game this season, and with that means everyone on this roster for Coppin State has started a game this season, which is an absolutely incredible thing to think about when you take a look at the number of players on this roster. I mean, Lance, you don't see that in college basketball, and I don't believe that has happened on any college basketball roster this season.
I mean, it speaks to Coach Dixon and his trust for his roster and his players. It's almost, Derek, like a golf tournament where everyone has to tee off at least one time.
Speaking of teeing off,
down another three.
Absolutely. Conte's teeing off right now. It's a 10-point lead. So in total, 14 different players have started a game for Coppin State. Wright's jumping a little short.
They have NC Central way off balance right now. They've gone into a zone in which you can still play man principles on the guys struggling out of the corner for either team. But you can play man principles as an offensive team even when a team is in a zone. And North Carolina Central, they are just struggling right now to find any rhythm at all. And I think, Derek, part of that is the threes, and part of that is the way that they play defense. They're extreme on both ends of the floor in terms of what they can and will throw at you. Here's another look. We saw what looked like a 2-3 zone. This is looking like they're back in the man.
Again, Lance, as you talked about earlier, trying to funnel them away from the middle of the court. Right. A little bit too strong on the three attempt, and the loose ball taken by Hood.
Yeah, that's a heat check because he literally had nothing and was struggling to potentially try to break down the offense, which is he's so good at.
Hood and Conte have been carrying the mail so far for this Coppin State team. All 14 points. And a foul on the drive by Hood will be called on the floor, so that shot will not count. Lance, what do you attribute these slow starts to on the side of North Carolina Central? This is not an unusual thing for them falling behind the 8 ball.
No, and I think teams get personalities, obviously because of the players, but as a collective group, as the season goes on, it's a great question because you'll see patterns with groups of people when you put them together. And in this case, slow starts is their thing. And contrarily, we saw this last game with Coppin State, quick start has been their thing of late. So they're used to this. This is familiar territory, and they play much better, NC Central does, when they are down.
4 to shoot. Outside for Conte with one. Hood just flings it at the rim, and it's an air ball. Maybe one pass too many there on that possession.
Yeah, they just got stuck and almost they were running offense for its own sake versus running it to try to score. But we're almost midway through the first half, Derek. And NC Central, I haven't seen them struggle like this.
It's been a rough go of it. Holding on to the basketball, 6 turnovers, more turnovers and points. 3 ball up, that's no good from Boone. The battle controlled by Chris Monroe.
I think Boone is much better when he's the facilitator.
Another offensive rebound by Boone. Off the miss by Wright. Maltsby will dip in. He gets blocked by Tyree Corbett. Monroe 3, that's no good. And the rebound controlled by Corbett of Coppin State.
You know, right now, NC Central has guys trying to do things that they don't typically do offensively. And that, to me, has been the impetus behind the struggles thus far.
Into Tark, way off with that 3.
Gotta close the door.
Maltsby with the feed.
A good ball movement. Might have got away with the travel there. Maltsby Look at the help.
Jumper blocked. Good defense shown there by Coppin State. And you're right, Lance. Good help by the Eagles of Coppin State. When we come back, we'll take a look at the secret game of 1944. On Sunday morning, March 12, 1944, during a time of heated racial segregation, North Carolina College for Negroes and head coach John McClendon competed against a squad from Duke School of Medicine on the campus of North Carolina Central in the first racially integrated college-level basketball game in the South. Due to the illegal nature of this contest, the participants were sworn to secrecy. The gym doors were locked to keep spectators out, and the meeting remained publicly unknown for more than 52 years. According to official records, the game never happened, although it is widely believed that North Carolina Central University defeated the team from Duke by a score of 88-44. For more storytelling, stream the Black History Always collection on ESPN+. And that's obviously one of the most impactful things in the history of college basketball, Lance, because of the importance to not only North Carolina Central University, but the game of college basketball.
Oh, yeah, I just get goosebumps listening to that story. We've done a few games and talked about this more than a couple of times, Derek, and it's just amazing. One, the impact during that era, and particularly that game and what it means today and what it meant back then. And to know that those young men could not compete on a bigger stage with people watching. The cool thing about the story, Derek, from what I've read and heard, is the fact that they eventually mixed the team together, like you see today, and continue to compete. So it just reminds you of so many of the great stories from that era. I mean, the other one, Texas Western, and what they did on a much bigger stage at Juan Dixon's alma mater in Maryland when they won the national title against Kentucky.
Lots of history to sift through for sure, as Justin Wright with the drive and the bucket. John McClendon, when that game took place back in 1944, he was only 28 years old. Can you imagine having to deal with that at the age of 28? Incredible.
Yeah, it just shows his courage and willingness to, quote-unquote, take that risk because that was not allowed. And to be part of that, and, you know, he obviously went on to be a great coach and impact so many lives. And talking to Coach today, he said that this program wouldn't be what it is without him and what he did with his legacy and his career.
Justin Steers hammering it home for Coppin State. The lead's at 8, 16-8, approaching 10:20 left to go here in the first half. Wright trying to pick his way through the defense. The kick out and three, that spins out. The contest, and it's grabbed by Coppin State and Cardacci.
Coppin State is really loading up defensively and not allowing Wright to get any drives. As you notice, everything is over the top defensively, nothing easy at the basket.
Three ball up, that's good. Reggie James hits a triple, and James and Coppin State extending the lead out to 19-8.
Boy, that was risky. NC Central went for the double. Coppin State identified it and did what they do, which is shoot threes.
Got a foul here against Coppin State.
Watch the double team come over. This is just great offense here. Steers took his time and found his teammate James, who knocked it down. It's great vision.
James is one of those players who has been in a starting role at times this season for Coppin State, averaging just under 3 points per game. Able to drill the three. Marquis Maltsby, his jumper, no good. James tracks down the loose change.
Yeah, and that's what I mean about NC Central playing out of the norm. Typically things go much more through right than what we're seeing right now offensively.
Pull up three. Missed. And a loose ball. Grabbed by Steers. And we'll get a timeout here called as Coppin State holding a lead of 11. Its largest lead of the game thus far. Impressive run here by Coppin State.
Well, yeah, they're getting it at all levels, Derek, even around the basket as Steers finishes strong.
Our ACC SEC Super Tuesday doubleheader features some of the top teams in each conference. At 7 Eastern, number 9 Duke hosts Wake Forest at Cameron Indoor. Then Oscar Tshiebwe leads number 4 Kentucky against number 16 Tennessee. Both games are on ESPN and the app. That's what I meant to say, but it did not come out that way. My apologies. Three ball, that's up. That's no good. And the three leading to a foul.
That was out of a timeout. And I think Coppin State, with the exception of the foul, they will take that shot. Conte has been very good from that exact spot tonight.
Largest lead of the game here for Coppin State. Three ball from the wing missing, and the loose ball tracked down.
And right now, Coppin State is really dictating how this game is being played. It's really turning into a three-point shooting contest.
Struggles here for the shooting of Coppin State. When you take a look at the three-point shooting, that's one of the tricks here. They shoot a lot, but they're not hitting a great percentage per se, but they're going to get them up.
Yeah, they are. And I thought Coach Moden made a great point today when we talked to him about this game. He said you have to understand it's not as loud as you might think it is with the threes, but the impact sometimes make you feel that.
Monroe will launch and hit.
And Monroe can do that, but I think there's risk as the game wears on, Derek, where you're just trying to exchange threes. That's the first one, North Carolina Central.
So the drive by Corbett leading to a tie-up. And that will lead us to a timeout on the floor with 7:52 left to go. 19-11 lead. Coppin State out in front. Eagles try to forge back. Left to go in the first half of this one. We've got another full day of college basketball Saturday on ESPN and the app that starts at noon Eastern. And these are our final three games. At 6 Eastern, number 9 Duke hosts Florida State at Cameron Indoor. Then number 6 Kansas faces off against West Virginia. And at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific, number 3 Arizona hosts Oregon. What a day of hoops we have for you on ESPN and the app. Derek Jones and Lance Blanks with you. North Carolina Central, Coppin State, 19-11 lead for Coppin State. Wright has that ball tipped away from him. The defense once again for Coppin State standing tall.
Yeah, and they tried to put Wright in a different spot with him getting it at the elbow, but right now the defense is just exceptional by all players from Coppin State.
Tart going in. And that leads to a whistle, and it'll be a 1-and-1 situation.
And that's a big foul because now Coppin State is in the bonus. It's like the issues are starting to build in North Carolina Central, and now your best player goes out. Who will step up? And Coach talked about needing other guys to help Wright. I mean, Derek, you can almost write it down. Boone had a big game against South Carolina State where he had 28 points, but Wright only had 8 and they lost. In their overtime loss against Howard, he had 17. He's averaging, as we know, close to 20 points. So you can write it in the books. If he doesn't hit his average, they struggle, and it's almost a guaranteed loss here in the new year, Derek.
10-point lead. Outside. Trying to dig in to find some room. Leaning in and scoring is Randy Miller Jr. So with now Justin Wright out with the 2 fouls, Randy Miller Jr. is going to have to step up. And Lance, we talked to Coach Moten about that, needing different players to step up to help out Wright.
Yeah, right with that. That basket was a unicorn possession because they got all the way to the basket, something they haven't been able to do to this point.
Miller, corner 3. Can't hit. The follow is in, plus the foul. Good hustle there, applied by Nicholas Fennell. He'll get an and one opportunity and cuts into this deficit.
It may sound crazy, but I'm going to give Miller a lot of credit. One, obviously, for getting to the basket, but also this baseline drive, baseline drift. Watch him drift right there in the corner. He gets it up. If you do positive things, positive other things tend to happen, and you see it there with the offensive putback. And how about that, Derek? In a matter of 2 plays, the game has totally changed.
And this is one of the reasons why North Carolina Central has been so proficient at coming back in games. They just stayed the course.
That's right. I mean, Fennell with the putback, it got multiple guys that they throw at you. And I think this is a great confidence builder, having Wright on the bench.
And you're right. I mean, you take a look at the opportunity now. It's a gotta-have-it situation with Justin Wright on the bench with the 2 fouls. And it's been a foul-filled first half for North Carolina Central. With just over 6 minutes left to go, already a 1-and-1 situation. As Coppin State will go to the line moving forward.
Yeah, both of these teams, though, are aggressive in what they do. And just because of the fouls, you can't get timid. Coach talked about that through this pandemic. He said he's at times coached with a level of timidity.
Bounce pass inside, the dunk. Looked like it may have been deflected in travel, as Justin Steers could not get that one to drop.
Great decision not to shoot that. Just put pressure on the defense and then move the ball to get a better look.
Top of the arc 3 is good from Eric Boone. Now Boone is one of those players who can definitely step up and fill the offensive void, averaging 8 points per game. It's 8 straight scored by North Carolina Central.
Yeah, and especially with Wright being out from the perimeter, they will need Boone to pick up the scoring slack.
Tark. And a foul picked up here, going at Nicholas Fennell.
I thought the ball movement here was excellent. Allowed Boone to step right into the shot. Steers paid for not having a hand up.
So, interestingly enough, with this Coppin State program, Nenda Tark's brother, Anthony, was part of the program last year. And he was not just a part of the program, he was the MEAC Player of the Year last year. And he was the Defensive Player of the Year as well. As Nenda drops in the first free throw. And one of the things that they had talked about in terms of both Anthony and Nenda Tark was they looked at this program as an opportunity for them to be able to possibly play at the next level, whether it be NBA or Europe. And that's one of the things that Coach Dixon kind of highlighted today as far as this program and being able to provide those opportunities for players, Lance.
Yeah, a well-told story, and he wants to influence these guys to the point where they can be the best version of themselves. And there's another cliche for you, but I mean, he clearly means it, and he almost partners with them, and he leverages all the experiences that he's had throughout his career at every level. And I watched him in college, and so this young man, Coach Dixon, was as good a player as you'd see in that era as a basketball player. So it's incredible to see him bring it to this level and help these young men get to where they're trying to go as not only as basketball players, but also as people, Derek.
As Coach Dixon making some changes in that lineup, Mike Hood came up short on that three-point attempt. And we'll see Greg Spurlock into the game. Monroe, high arcing three, trickles in. The lead is down to one.
Central starting to catch on fire a little bit, scoring almost at will on each possession.
Greg Spurlock with an answer to extend the lead back out to 3 at 25-22. Spurlock seen an increase in playing time since December. The scoop and the score by Randy Miller Jr.
And I think Miller Jr., he is really the primary spark. You might remember he got the dribble drive about 3 minutes ago, and after that, it's turned into consistency and scoring in NC Central.
Corbett shots blocked. It's kept alive. 3, that's short from Spurlock. But then Cardacci has it stolen from him. Down the floor is Boone, goaltending the call against Cardacci.
Great steal, and how about Cardacci? He is a totally different player than what he was, but right now, NC Central is getting it all over. Monroe, of course, with the big three, and then getting downhill. Miller Jr. with the finish. At conference where NC Central has got it going, and they're using multiple people. There you see Boone with the 3 ball, and then, of course, Miller Jr. lays it in. Monroe gets in the act, and they're doing this all without their star, Wright, who's having some foul issues, and Coach Moten talked about it. Derek, he said, hey, I need other guys to step up. I need Boone. I need Monroe. I need Miller, and that's exactly what's happening. They had a huge deficit early, down by double digits, something they are used to doing, and then guys started stepping up from everywhere on the floor, Derek.
And the rebounding has been a big part of that, certainly, and Monroe has 6 to tie Justin Wright in scoring so far. A turnover. The aforementioned Miller Jr. And the Eagles on the move.
And how about the pace at which they're getting the ball into the front court?
A long 3 by Randy Miller Jr. And just like that, he has a team-high 7, the lead at 4. Corbett leans in from the free throw line to hit.
And defensively, it's as if Coppin State has just turned off the faucet. They're not playing with the level of energy and pressure that they were playing with earlier. And Central is taking advantage at every turn and finding people who are wide open, or they're getting it done off dribble drives.
Steal by Tark. Lays it up and in. And Tark looked like he lost his footing there a little bit on the way up, but still able to hit the free throw. Tark, one of the great stealers of the basketball in college basketball. Second in the country from that perspective, as we'll get a whistle here.
Yeah, he's so quick and plays the passing lanes. It's not always an indication of great defense, but in this case, in Tark's case, I think it is great defense, not only because of the steals, but he can move his feet so well, and he's got that strong body also. He can cause havoc on this end of the floor.
Only Richmond's Jacob Gilliard ranks higher than Nenda Tark in terms of steals. And Gilliard's the best to ever do it statistically at the Division I level, as that jumper extends the lead out to 2 at 31-29.
Yeah, and Central just making it look extremely easy right now on the offensive end of the floor. Not forcing anything, getting in the open spaces, moving the ball. They're doing a great job without their star right in the game.
Isaiah Gross still in the game with 2 fouls. Inside, layup is good. Beautiful pass down low. And Eric Boone able to help convert. And a steal. Fennell had his hands on it momentarily, but back down the floor. Corbett slams it home.
Ball security is such a key element of the game. That was a great opportunity, great missed opportunity for NC Central after that steal.
Miller leans in, got it. So 2 more for Randy Miller Jr. He's got a team-high 9. The runner by Gross missing. Boone rebound, and we'll get a timeout called by North Carolina Central.
Yeah, just the game has slowed down at some level, Derek, where they know where their teammates are going to be. They're doing a good job, with the exception of a couple of plays ago when they had the turnover. But just the ball movement and the poise, stop, pop by Miller Jr. And so many young guys on a shot like that, Derek, they want to try to get all the way to the basket. He makes it look a lot easier than it really is. And you talk about guys who play with pace, and that's a good example of it, because he wasn't in a rush. Miller Jr. wasn't. As he's done this multiple times, we've seen him shoot with range, obviously shoot in the mid-range as well as get to the basket, and he's using the system but also creating the offense off of the dribble. He's my personal MVP this first half, especially with Wright being out and being on the bench.
Well, it's always interesting when we have these discussions with coaches and these nuggets that they drop throughout the conversation. Sometimes they end up blooming during the course of the game, and that's what we've seen here with the emergence of Miller and Monroe as well, with Wright out with the pair of fouls. Down the lane with 17 seconds left to go in the half, and it's Fennell with a layup.
Yeah, and that was a design play. They got it in Miller Jr.'s hands, and he moved the ball to Fennell. Great play.
Long 3 by Corbett is no good, and that caps the first half. North Carolina Central missed 18 of their first 22 shots, but they have turned it around, Lance.
Yeah, they did, and they did it really on the offensive end. They started executing. It was like 2 different halves within the first half. That, you know, the first 8 to 10 minutes, they were extremely quiet. They just turned it into a shooting contest, and then all of a sudden, they started running beautiful offense. So it was great to see, Derek.
North Carolina Central started out slow, but finished the half in strong fashion. They lead it. We'll throw you to the studio. Kevin Nagandi, LaFonso Ellis, and Seth Greenberg. North Carolina Central up 6. They lead Coppin State 37-31 at the half in Baltimore, Maryland. Stay tuned. We'll have highlights and stats headed your way in just a few moments. Second half action on the way. Back to Big Monday presented by LinkedIn. Second half action just about set to start. 37-31 lead for North Carolina Central over Coppin State. Hello, everybody. Derek Jones and Lance Blanks with you this evening. Second half action from Baltimore, Maryland, set to tip off in just a moment. Lance, as we take a look at that first half, Coppin State's three-point shooting kind of petered out as that first half went along.
Yeah, I mean, they only shoot just under 30%. It wasn't sustainable, but they started off on fire, Derek. I mean, they were raining threes and getting them from everywhere. There's nothing NC Central could do about it. There you see the double team, and then booyah, bucket. And then things changed in a big way, Derek. NC Central started getting it from guys like Boone. He got involved in it. Monroe as well. And then they started even driving the ball a little bit as Miller Jr. got one. He got in the act as well. So it was a great job by these guys. NC Central withstanding the storm without their star there right as he gets the first two of the half, Derek.
And that's big to get him back out on the floor and scoring. North Carolina Central ended that half on a 26-10 run. As you get a look at the points in the paint differential, the rebounding was also in favor of North Carolina Central, Lance.
Yeah, and I thought that they were great, NC Central, with how they responded to not having Wright. To your point, not only with the rebounding, but obviously with the shot selection and the way that they got them in rhythm. They never panicked.
There's another guy who does not panic, Chris Monroe. From deep, hitting the jumper. Foot was on the line, so it's a 31-33 lead for North Carolina Central.
Monroe has been incredibly efficient here in this game tonight, Derek. Really doing a good job of not forcing anything, just taking what the defense is giving him.
The block on the shot by Mike Hood, who had a nice first half, could not get going there. Floater by Miller Jr. connects. Randy Miller Jr. into double figures with 11.
It's interesting. They're making Coach Moten look like a prophet because he talked about needing help for Wright. And these guys have just shown up in a huge way here early, extending this lead to 10. NC Central, and there he is. Stop, pop right on the baseline. That's a tough shot, but Central up by 10.
Coming up next over on ESPN and the app at 9 Eastern, it's a Big 12 battle between number 6 Kansas and Oklahoma State at Allen Fieldhouse. Let's take a look at tonight's Wendy's Wooden Watch, and certainly, Lance, you take a look at Kansas, there's one key guy that stands among the rest for the Jayhawks.
Oh, yeah, he is fun to watch. He struggled a little bit recently at Texas. Texas is known to do a good job on stars, and that was a road game. But there's not many, it's maybe a handful of players or less, really, that you could compare with this guy in terms of that Wooden Watch. So it'll be an interesting race to the end in terms of who will get it, but this young man will definitely be in the top 2 or 3 players in the country, Derek.
Agbaji and the Jayhawks coming up next on ESPN as a 3 from the top of the key is in from Chris Monroe. I mean, they are on fire. 13 of their last 14 shots have gone in. Before that Monroe shot, as Coppin State tries to answer on their own regard.
Well, yeah, and you have to remember, Coppin State is really never far out of a game because they shoot so many 3 balls, and they can get hot at any moment. But how about Casey? 22 points, career high last game, and no shots tonight.
Right, and that's certainly one of the sticking points, as we'll get a foul here on the drive by Cardacci. And it stands out even more because Jesse Zarzuela is not in tonight. He's out dealing with an injury. He's the team's leading scorer, so they need everybody to step up.
Yeah, and he makes plays for him. And here you see Kyle. I conflated his first and last name, but Kyle, they're getting a little aggressive. They need, with Jesse not playing, they need his offense. He showed that last game. Just incredible, though, no shots.
And the Tark will go to the line for a pair of free throws. Try to cut into this
the defensive end that Coach Dixon really was talking about. Kyle making his biggest impact, and that's an area that they need as well, because NC Central has just been so good and efficient with multiple guys getting in the act. Miller Jr. obviously with 11, Monroe with 11, Wright only with 8. I say only because he is clearly their best player and or scorer. Boone with 7. That's difficult to deal with, Derek, when you have guys that are scoring from all over the floor in different positions. Sometimes when you're on the floor like that, it just feels like they're playing with more than 5 guys.
Oh, no doubt about it. It makes it very difficult on both sides of the floor. 6-point lead for North Carolina Central, and we will get a whistle here and a foul away from the ball, it appears. It'll be charged to Conte.
Yeah, and it's a subtle thing, won't show up in a box score, but King's cut was so hard, it's what created the foul that he drew. He dove really hard. There he is again, creating space for himself around the basket.
Errant pass inside, stolen. Hood. Cardace on the drive. Down low, flipping it up, missing the easy layup.
Got to finish that. That was just too soft. Kyle created that offense. You cannot baby that shot. That's a dunk, or at worst a finish.
Remy Lamovu could not get that layup to drop home, and now looks like Conte may have gotten popped in the face there. Oh.
Yep, there you see it by King. I mean, he really wants the ball.
King, he has been pretty quiet tonight. He has 3 fouls now. He has not scored. Only 1 field goal attempt. Hood to the rack. He'll go to the line for a pair.
Well, this is reminiscent of the early part of the game when Hood was driving the basketball. And I know Coach Dixon has an equal opportunity offense and allows guys to shoot as they like, but I think the driving of the ball to the basket, trying to do things inside the arc, will only help them beyond the arc to get better and or clean looks here as they move closer to North Carolina Central.
This is definitely an important game in the MEAC, especially from the side of Coppin State. They're at 4-4 in league play. North Carolina Central at 5-2. If Coppin State is able to win this game, they'll be just a half game out from North Carolina Central, who's in second place, as there's a stoppage for blood. Nosebleed there for Conte.
Yeah, as they prepare for, or as we get closer and they prepare for conference tournament play, it's all about seeding, Derek. That's really the beginning of the end, and we've seen upset after upset, both in conference tournaments as well as the NCAA tournament. And matchups and how hot a team is and who you play is often what dictates if you're able to advance or not.
Norfolk State standing alone atop the MEAC, but their lone loss in the MEAC, Lance, you and I saw that a couple of weeks ago. North Carolina Central coming back to defeat the Spartans. Corner 3, missing, loose ball off the Boone miss, and it'll go the other way on North Carolina Central. North Carolina Central up by 4 over Coppin State, trying to hold tight here early in the second half. And this basketball matchup we have for you Sunday afternoon on ABC and the ESPN app between the top teams in the SEC, Aaliyah Boston and number 1 South Carolina, hosting Jordan Horston and number 12 Tennessee, the Lady Vols. Our coverage begins at 1 Eastern. Some of those images taking you back with the late Pat Summitt, Candace Parker as well for Tennessee.
Yeah, Candace and his sister, Anthony Parker, just basketball family. Obviously had a lot of success in college.
That missed three leading to a side out here coming up for Coppin State. And that's something we have not seen a lot of, or at all for that matter. A shot by Kyle Cardacey. That's his first one of the game.
Yeah, just not enough looks. I mean, in spite of what they shoot collectively from that mark as a team, you've got to get him more involved, especially they're coming off of his performance the last game. You want to check the temperature there to see if he can keep that rolling. I mean, only one shot, and we're this far into the second half. That's just unthinkable.
The three missed by Wright. Cardacey down the floor with the pass and the two-handed jam from Lemovu. So Lemovu cuts it to a 2-point game. So Cardacey not getting it done with the jumper, but the assist there.
Great throw ahead, right on time. The big, all he had to do was catch it and go finish.
Here he goes again. They have the numbers. Tie game at 46 after the layup by Mike Hood.
Well, and again, Kyle, that happened quickly from where I can see, but it looked like that was even a little bit of a look away for the easy finish. So Kyle creating a little offense for Coppin State here at a critical juncture of the game.
11 straight for Coppin State.
A lot of guys like to dribble. Look at that. He just catches and throws right away. One dribble. Coaches love that kind of action. And then the great pass right on time and right on target for Hood to finish. And so now, Derek, does Coppin State continue to go through Kyle just because he's doing a great job of facilitating something that they missed from Jesse? I'm hearing that there are potential rim issues from the dunk.
Oh boy, this is a legitimate issue. Recently in the NBA, the Dallas Mavericks and Philadelphia 76ers had a game, and that is bent. Oh boy. In the Sixers-Mavericks game, the rim was bent, and they had to take a delay. It was somewhat substantial. It was almost an hour due to the rim being bent, and if you can't get that fixed right away, that can lead to a lengthy stoppage potentially.
Yeah, and the NBA is so good about having staffs and all of the right resources and equipment. I spent a lot of times in a lot of NBA arenas, and in the back, their basket standards and nets and rims. Seems like multiple back there for situations like the Dallas game that you're speaking about, Derek, where they had to stop and change out the entire structure. Oh, wow. And he didn't really pull it terribly hard.
Right, there wasn't any hanging on the rim or anything like that. And yeah, that does not look right from the naked eye. We're going to take a step out. Tie game at 46. Stay tuned. More in a moment from Baltimore.
Take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the I hear him
North Carolina Central and Coppin State still waiting to resume play. If you're just joining us, after a dunk, the rim got bent, and Remy Lemovu was the player who got a hold of the basketball and threw it down, but unfortunately that has led to the rim getting bent, and they're going to have to replace the rim, because you just, for obvious reasons, you just can't play with a bent rim. Derek Jones and Lance Blanks with you. And Lance, as you take a look at this situation, does this benefit North Carolina? Coppin State 46. Thanks for hanging with us. But unfortunately, hanging is a part of the issue right now, because the rim that you see right there is the replacement rim due to a dunk by Coppin State that broke the previous rim, causing this delay, which is north of 20 minutes now. Lance, have you ever seen something like this in your playing days?
I've seen baskets broken, but not in this way. I mean, it literally looked like it just ripped. The metal ripped, and it wasn't, I mean, he's strong, but he's not that strong. He just kind of pulls the rim and literally pulled it apart, as we saw, dude. So haven't seen it broken this way. Shaq obviously has broken rims. Daryl Dawkins we've seen a lot of guys break the glass, but not the actual rim cut that way.
Remy Lavovu celebrating with his team, but we'll see if they're celebrating at the end with the game tied at 46. Stay tuned. Back in Baltimore, Maryland, 46-all, North Carolina Central and Coppin State set to resume play. Derek Jones and Lance Blanks with you as these two teams set to get going after what is going to be just about a half-hour delay. And, Lance, it's going to be very interesting to see how this impacts the shooters on both sides.
Well, I think you got to treat it like a whole new game. Yeah, certainly a restart to the game, but Derek, this is very abnormal. It rarely happens in a basketball game where you have stoppage of play for this long. So this is even different than halftime, Derek, because it's longer, the circumstances are different. And so for all intent and purposes, it's a new ball game. 0-0 essentially.
Yeah, they basically had another halftime. I mean, essentially with that delay. If you're just joining us, this is an 11-0 run for Coppin State. Remy Lamovu's dunk brought about a tie game and then a near half-hour delay due to the dunk and the broken rim. Down low with the pass, and it's Justin Wright who gives the lead right back to North Carolina Central.
I think Wright is the key to this game in terms of which way it may or may not go, because as the game moves further into this half, I expect him to get a lot more opportunities, particularly with his ability to score around the basket, as you saw there.
He's into double figures with 10. And a steal. Fennell got a hand in on it. Boone finds Monroe. Monroe open for three. No good. The follow, unable to go down, courtesy of Nicholas Fennell.
Well, I thought Monroe could have gotten a foul possibly there. He's such a disciplined ball player. Really doesn't do anything outside of the envelope of what he can offer.
Cardace put it on the floor, and that leads to a foul on Randy Miller Jr.
Yeah, and ever since Cardace made the two really nice passes, he's been a different player. He's playing a lot more aggressive than he did in the earlier part of the game, especially in the first half when he didn't get any shots in spite of his 22-point career high last game.
Into Lamovu, and that will be looks like a jump ball. Possession will stay with Coppin State.
Yeah, that was very good defense Central doing a good job of rotating.
Movu trying to get position there on Fennell, and that leads us to another whistle. Now we're set. Cardesi, who is the team's leader in rebounding tonight with 4, yet still has not scored. Shot clock to 5 for Hood. Hood's drive, no good. Hood comes out of the pack with a basketball somehow.
Yeah, very unfortunate there by Central. I thought they did a good job defending Hood.
And Hood gives the lead right back to Coppin State. 1-point game, 49-48.
Hood just willed that basket. He got his own miss. Did a great job with the 3-ball.
Boone was blocked there, but they say a foul first on contact.
Yeah, he's surveying. And I say he willed that, meaning he was all in and committed, obviously, on this 3-ball. But there was no way you'd have thought he could get his own rebound. And Boone doing a great job. He puts the body first, ensuring himself an opportunity to get to the line.
That was just the second free throw attempt of the night for North Carolina Central. 1 out of 2. Ties us at 49. 12:51 remaining from Baltimore.
Yeah, and a lot of that, in terms of them not getting a lot of free throws, comes from early part of the game when they were trying to exchange threes before they got incredibly efficient with their offense.
Cardesi, and we'll get a whistle before that 3. Let's see who it's against. It'll be Randy Miller Jr. who draws the whistle. Lavelle Moden not pleased with that call.
Yeah, doesn't need much commentary. You can hear him working for his team. He said, well, what am I supposed to say?
Well, we talked about the lack of free throw attempts for North Carolina Central, and the other side of it is Tark gets a pair. They have attempted 14 free throws tonight. Speaking of Coppin State, who lead it by 2. The drive by Fennell, and he'll go to the line for 2. As his layup attempt did not fall home.
Yeah, and very similar in terms of using the body to get the shot off, but also ensuring getting to the line. Boone did something similar a moment ago. And you talked about, Derek, the disparity in free throw shot. And a lot of times coaches will use that as the measurement of if they got calls or not. You know, for example, we shot 20 free throws and our opponent shot 5. Well, that isn't the measurement in terms of how many free throws you shot. It's measured by how much fouling you do, or how often you foul guys in the act of shooting. And so certainly the refs are human and they do make mistakes, but sometimes you're just fouling a little more than the opponent.
Corner 3 by Tark is off the mark. Out to right. Monroe will launch and connect. Chris Monroe from 3. He's got 14. That's his 4th three-pointer of the game.
Well, you've got to find Coppin State in transition, but you have to find Central, and namely that man as well, because his teammates know where he is at all times. If you leave him open, he's going to knock it down tonight.
Hood got caught up there on the shot attempt, missed it, loose. Cardesi trying to shake free. The kick out. Cardesi will fire from deep and 1. A 4-point play on the way potentially for Kyle Cardesi. And what a way for him to score for the first time tonight.
Well, the best shot of the game is the one he didn't take at the beginning of his possession when he pump faked, kicked the ball out. It didn't really change sides of the floor, but he was able to replace himself in the corner, and he takes a hit and knocks it down. We're going to take a break, and he's going to take a hit.
Oh, man, that is wrinkly.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by LinkedIn. Whatever you're in for, we're in it together. Coppin State and North Carolina Central tied at 54. Derek Jones and Lance Blanks with you. 11:28 left to go in this contest as Kyle Cardacci at the line to try to give Coppin State the lead once again.
Yeah, and how about Kyle's patience? As the game has gone on, Derek, he's just gotten better and better, starting with the great passes that were made. In fact, his pass was the one that led to a broken rim on the dunk earlier.
Coming up in a moment, we will switch you over to Washington State and Oregon with Roxy Bernstein and Adrian Branch. As Monroe, corner and the kick, the drive by Boone, left it a little short on the layup attempt, the follow by Fennell, that doesn't hit. Monroe had a couple of cracks at it, and finally Coppin State controls.
Oh, all of that was just soft. They'll watch film of that. Great offensive rebounding and crashing, but whew, what a missed opportunity there for Central.
The layup, no good, but a foul on the way off the drive by Reggie James. So another chance here for Coppin State to grab the lead. It's been a back and forth game since that 11-0 run by Coppin State, leading to the stoppage due to the broken rim.
Yeah, Coppin has done a nice job, Derek, of at some level picking up where they left off. A stoppage of play. This game has been as unique a game as I've seen in a long time because of the rim issue.
56-54 lead for Coppin State. You can join us over on the app with the lead right now for Coppin State at 2 at 56-54. And right before he got that shot off, a foul called on the floor. Coming up in moments, we'll throw you to Eugene, Oregon, Washington State, and Oregon with Roxy Bernstein and Adrian Branch. You can follow this one on the app. For Lance Blanks, I'm Derek Jones saying so long for now. Out to Eugene, Oregon. 56-54. And right before he got that shot off, a foul called on the floor. Coming up in moments, we'll throw you to Eugene, Oregon, Washington State, and Oregon with Roxy Bernstein and Adrian Branch. You can follow this one on the app. For Lance Blanks, I'm Derek Jones saying so long for now. Out to Eugene, Oregon. 56-54. Those of you joining us now on the app, a 2-point edge for Coppin State. Approaching the midway point of half two. Miller having trouble at the elbow. Shot clock to 5. Monroe flips it up with the right hand. And the loose ball out to Coppin State. Hood with the hesitation. Scoop layup, no good. The follow by Conte. He couldn't get his hands on it. And now Wright will lean in and score off the window.
And Wright has been a slow burn, not getting a ton of opportunities back to back, but still just as dangerous as he ever is as this game wears on, Dick.
How about Conte stepping in to the starting lineup for the first time tonight this season, and he has contributed double figures in scoring and a lead of 3.
Yeah, he's more than a contributor. With Jesse Zarzuela out of this game, he has been humongous. Speaking of which, Central is responding really to every run that Coppin State has or shows. Anytime they begin to show a little distance, the mark of an incredibly good team.
One-point game. Into Conte and out of bounds. Turnover 14 for Coppin State.
Yeah, the pressure there. They just threw that too far. It wasn't an incredibly difficult pass.
(59-58). By the way, Chris Monroe, third double-double of the season. To the block, Wright. In the air, got it to go. Justin Wright starting to field a little bit offensively. 1-point lead for North Carolina Central.
Well, this is when he starts to do what he does. He got hit there. You see him there wiping his face. He's just so good. But my question is, does Coppin State adjust the defense as they did early and really run a couple of people at him to get the ball out of his hands?
Hood luckily able to get that ball and then to Tark falling down. Tark's 3 off the mark, and we'll get a loose ball foul coming up. This will be against Coppin State.
And if you thought that was ill-advised, you're wrong. Coppin State, to solve problems, they're going to shoot it. NC Central leads by 1 over Coppin State. Where we have a MEAC battle brewing, and Central has a guard playing the right way, Justin Wright, as he's doing what he does best, which is get to the rim and finish. He's been absolutely exceptional here late in this second half of the ball game, which stopped where we had to stop play for over 20 minutes to fix a rim. He's come back like a storm. He got hit in the eye and needs some attention to that. It'll be interesting to see, Derek, here. Does him being out make issues with North Carolina Central in their offense? Because he's been everything here in this second half, particularly lately.
The Boone drive leads to a foul. And as you take a look at the point you just made, Lance, that was one of the turning points originally in this game when Wright left with 2 fouls in the first half. That seemed to spark North Carolina Central, as that's the 4th foul picked up by Conte, and that would be a big loss if he can't stay in this game.
Yeah, and what it did early in the game is it forced his teammates to step up. That one there, Boone, Monroe, Miller Jr., those guys were great in his absence, so they'll need to do that again until he can get back on the floor. It's almost like when he's on the floor, they almost get a little more passive.
Down the floor, the layup is in from Jadarius Harris. He has seen limited action in this game.
What a great outlet pass. That's like throwing to a receiver. Harris able to finish.
Tark in the lane, and that's going to be a blocking foul.
Ooh, that was close. Sure, Coach might have something to say about that. Fennell looked like he moved the feet, and he was, looks like he's in position. If anything, maybe it was a flopping warning.
He might have put some extra English on that ball.
Yeah, a little English on the little acting school, but I thought that might have been just a play on.
Hart gets the first. By the way, after those Boone misses from the line, North Carolina Central 4 of 7 from the stripe. Coppin State 16 of 18 now from the free throw line. Hart knocks down the second. He has 14 points. The lead is at 1. Good game here tonight in the MEAC. Miller dribbles into a double team, and that's a travel. And Lance, that's the kind of defensive mistakes that Juan Dixon's defense can force.
Yeah, and that's what it does. As you see Kyle there, he's pushing him outside, Miller Jr. there, outside of the lane. A lot of teams call that either downing, bluing.
Oh, what a pass from Cardacy down low with a finish by Justin Steers.
I think Kyle is as good a passer as he is anything. We've seen it really pull out the full arsenal tonight. He shot the ball, passed the ball, and he's defended.
And a foul on the other side.
Yeah, that's on Kyle. He got caught a little bit with his hand in the cookie jar with the reach. See, he's in good position. There's no reason to reach there. He had a man in the corner. It was extremely crowded. Teammates got to yell that I'm here behind you, so you know if you're Kyle not to reach there. There's really nothing to be gained.
That's the first on Cardacy. By the way, foul trouble each way. Fennell for North Carolina Central has 4. Conte has 4 for Coppin State. Right back in after suffering the eye injury. Knocks down the free throw.
And I think Coppin State has to go back to what they were doing earlier in the game defensively when Wright is on the floor. Really, if they want to give themselves the best chance, because he's so good offensively, Wright is. I think they've loosened up. And when I say loosened up, they don't have an extra man behind the defender or near the defender to keep Wright from being able to drive. I think he's almost unguardable man-to-man.
Oh, you're right. I mean, he definitely shows that kind of talent level as Jadarius Harris picks up the foul, sending Cardacy at the line. Cardacy good on the first. 66% shooter from the line so far this season in conference games. Overall, 69%. 1 out of 2. Tipped around, and it'll stay with Coppin State.
And because this game isn't being played fast at this point, it's, to me, Derek, it's going to come down to execution. Part of that is free throws, securing the ball, and running your stuff offensively, running your system.
Cardacy with the 3, that misses. Now Boone. Marquis Maltsby.
Good ball movement.
Right, having trouble with the handle a little bit.
There's the help I was talking about.
Monroe tees up a corner 3 and hits. Chris Monroe, 5th three-pointer of the game. The lead back to North Carolina Central, 66-64.
Monroe and Miller Jr. have been incredible, but that's the right type of defense. If you're having to deal with Wright, you force other people to beat you.
And a steal from Steers. Maltsby down low. Monroe missed it, but he'll go to the line. 2 free throws on the way for Chris Monroe.
Great pass by Mosby. He was falling out of bounds and did a great job of getting the ball right back to Monroe. You see the help there on right. He gets it out of his hand, and then, of course, you drive on the closeout, and you find your main man in the corner in Monroe. And then the pass and pass back. And how good has this young man been today, or tonight, I should say. What a game he's having.
Absolutely. Talking to Coach Moten earlier today, he said we're talking about who needs to step up outside of Justin Wright.
Yep.
He specifically said my 4s and 5s. I need some help from them too. And as you look at the landscape of the MEAC, that statement is 100% true. So a big time for Monroe to step up as the layup is in from Justin Steers.
Yeah, Steers makes it up, but that's a good call you make, Derek, and I think it's a great call by Coach. He's obviously seeing these guys, but when you have a guy playing as good and as well as Wright is playing, you don't want him to have that pressure to be as excellent as he's had to be for them to win. And tonight, Coach is getting exactly what he's wanted, having his front court do major work.
Back and forth we go. Chris Monroe has a career-high 21, but the lead cut down to 2. 70-68. The seesaw in effect in Baltimore. North Carolina Central up 2. Point game. North Carolina Central leading Coppin State 70-68. This one following a similar formula to what we've seen at times from North Carolina Central throughout MEAC play so far. They go down by double figures, they come back, but in the end it ends up being a close game, and it looks like we're back to that point again tonight, Lance.
Yeah, and Coach Moten talked about it, and I teased him and said, Coach, you're tricking me a little bit, because he mentioned it's just been challenging, obviously, with COVID and guys having the type of conditioning they need in second halves and loading them up with Gatorade and formulas and water just to keep guys from cramping up. But he says that, and the results prove differently, in that this team has been incredible down the stretch, Derek, all conference long, particularly of late.
Ball off of Monroe's leg, back to Coppin State, and it's amazing they've been able to do what they've done. They had that long 30-day plus COVID pause, and talking to Coach Moten earlier this season, he actually said he was really considering pulling the plug on the season.
Yep.
Had that delay gone like basically another week. Corner, 3, got it. Mike Hood again from deep.
It's a great shot by Hood. The easiest place to shoot threes from. You have to know that if you're Central, Coppin State's going to find teammates that are placed around the arc. Don't really play post basketball. Everything is done out on the perimeter, typically for this ball club, unless they have drivers off the dribble.
8 lead changes as that ball is deflected into the stands, and it will stay with Coppin State with 3:25 left to go, and Coppin State up by 1.
The Hood's in the right place, and then just a catch. Found him right in the corner, hit him on target and on time. 2 keys to knocking down that shot.
Hood is coming close to his season high in scoring. He's got 16 tonight. The runner off from Tar. Miller tried to feed the post to Monroe, and it gets stolen.
Stole by Kyle Cardacci. His defense, man, he's just been so good both ends of the floor. And you talk about young people and a lot of guys wanting to score the ball. He's showing, Derek, how you can impact the game beyond just scoring He's doing it obviously with steals, being active, being patient at the right time, and just making smart plays.
Hood short on the first free throw.
You gotta help him box out.
Normally a pretty good free throw shooter. 83% on the year is Hood. Second one. Got that one. 2-point game in favor of Coppin State.
Well, this is often Wright's time to get it going. An all-out denial on Wright. They do not want him touching the ball.
Wright has it here. He gets tripped. And he will go to the line.
And Tark got up too high. And Wright, he did a great job the way he tried to split the double team, forcing the foul, which is exactly what you have to do. You've got to be aggressive. You see two guys come at him, one reaching. That's what great players do. They attack.
Wright able to get that one, and you take a look here at how this game is playing out in the second half. It's been a dead heat since that 11-0 run by Coppin State, and we're tied again at 72. We will be joining you on ESPN News momentarily. The game tied at 72 with 2:30 left.
No screen, just the isolation.
And a turnover committed there. Tark, that pass, not sure that Steers was ready for it.
Yeah, Tark is telling him to show your hands, hold your hands, and I think Steers agrees. It's a little bit tough pass to catch for Steers, but a great dribble drive.
Timeout called by North Carolina Central. 2:15 left to go. Tie game at 72. It's been a back and forth contest tonight with 8 lead changes, and now an opportunity for a 9th coming up as Coppin State tries to grab their 5th win in the MEAC. Meanwhile, North Carolina Central trying to stay in step with Norfolk State, who came into play tonight 7-1 in the MEAC.
Yeah, what you don't want to do if you're North Carolina Central is you don't want Coppin State to beat you the way that you're confident that they'd like to beat you, which is from beyond the arc. Even though they don't shoot a great percentage, they shoot a very loose percentage. And by loose, I mean there aren't any bad shots from that distance, and they gain a lot of energy. It's like kryptonite if they're not able to shoot or make those shots. So you want to take that away from them.
North Carolina Central down the stretch in games. They've shown by and large, Lance, you talked about the cramping issues they've had late. It's been a mixed bag for them in terms of close games, but by and large, when they've fallen behind in double-figure fashion, they've been able to win these games. They're 3-1 this season in the MEAC when they've fallen behind by double digits. They were down 14 to Morgan State on Saturday, came back to win that game. You go back to earlier in the season when they lost to Howard, they were down by 24. They had the lead and then lost in overtime, and that was one of those games with the aforementioned cramping and issues that really cost them late.
Yeah, but keep in mind, too, Coach said the 4-minute mark and below, they call it winning time. And so
welcome to Baltimore, Maryland, North Carolina Central, Coppin State. 3-ball up by Miller. That's good. Randy Miller Jr. getting the coverage on ESPN News. Started off properly with a 3-ball to give North Carolina Central a lead of 3 at 75-72.
And that was right after a timeout. And remember, Coach Moten calls this winning time, so that's when they are extremely focused and try to execute at the highest level of their ability.
Tark gets stripped on the way up.
Well, those were great hands by Monroe. Really the all-star of this game. And then how about North Carolina Central getting it into the hands of their best player? This is a gift.
Wright crossing over. Pull up Jay. Got it. A big one from Justin Wright.
Yeah, and they did that with Monroe up top. You couldn't leave him because he's been deadly. And now you got Wright in isolation, which is also deadly.
The layup. Tark looked like he lost the grip on the basketball right in front of the rim. And that will lead to a foul against Coppin State. And the wheels are coming off here for Juan Dixon's crew.
You see Monroe getting out of the picture there, and you got Wright in isolation. And then the nice drive. Yeah, the lefty just missed that and then fouled the rebounder. With Coach Moten talked about execution, and that's exactly what he's getting from Central, Derek.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that, you know, he has let his players know that the bullseye is on them whenever they walk into an opposing arena or in MEAC play just in general because of the success the program's had over the years. You're going to get the best shot from every team each night as the foul committed on the drive by Steers.
You know, the irony is late in this game, Coppin State has really struggled inside the arc as far as execution. Tark got to the basket, missed the layup. There you see the ball is not being secured well. They just seemingly aren't as comfortable inside the arc. And this speaks to what Coach was talking about, Coach Dixon, when he mentioned that Jesse Zarzuela being out. It really hurts them when they're trying to make plays. Obviously, Hood and Tark, they've done a good job tonight in spite of Jesse not being here. But it's a lot. It's a lot for those guys to have to carry, especially late in games, Derek.
That stops a 7-0 run. Now back to a one-possession game, 77-74 with 41.7 seconds left to go.
Yeah, and you don't have to foul because of what you said. It's a one-possession game. In fact, you don't want to foul, especially Wright.
Ahead to Wright.
Stop here. You got a chance.
Looks like they'll play it straight up.
Yeah, and usually they'll bring a screener up or they'll come up and do this slip action.
Right.
Not this time, isolation.
Stuck, blocked, loose, Cardassian Wright, and they call a jump ball as Wright was falling out of bounds. The possession arrow goes to North Carolina Central. And let's see, that was dangerously close to Wright actually being out of bounds with the basketball.
Yeah, they'll take a look at this one, though. It was incredibly close.
This is a big call.
These young men aren't leaving it all on the line. I mean, that image of Wright tells it all. This was great defense. He has three people surrounding him. Oh. Wright was out of bounds when he had that, looks like to me. There's the foot.
Getting another look at it here. That's so very close. Difficult to, I think that's going to be difficult to overturn the jump ball call.
Wow.
Both have it right there, and then Cardassi's, he's out. And eventually,
still have it.
it's going to be interesting.
it may be too close to overturn. It has to be decisive.
One timeout left for Coppin State. 2 timeouts left for North Carolina Central. Double bonus each way. Derek Jones and Lance Blanks with you tonight. In the MEAC, 77-74, the lead for North Carolina Central.
Yeah, and the other question is, because of the shot clock, how do they look at this in terms of it being a change of possession, perhaps? That's just so tough. It's just too close to call.
Yeah, it's difficult to gauge all the schematics of that play, and it looks like they're going to add potentially some time back on the clock here to 13.2, and there's 1 second currently on the shot clock.
Well, they added a second, looks like.
So now to 2 seconds. So in this situation, not a lot of moving around you could do in terms of dribbling. You got to get a shot up.
Yeah, you do, Derek, but you've got plenty of time to get a clean shot. Not enough time to get it inbounds and make another pass. You could possibly tip it somewhere, but there is plenty of time to catch this ball and shoot it with 2 seconds remaining on the shot clock. And you're going to see, I expect them to try to get this to right unless he stays in the backcourt, which I don't think he'll do.
Fennell will call a timeout. So one of the final 2 timeouts being used here by Lavelle Moten to draw something up.
Yeah, and I would use action with Wright coming off, and even if you have to use him as a decoy, you could set a screen with Monroe and force the defense to make a decision.
On the flip side, for Coppin State, I mean, obviously they're thinking about 2 things here. They're thinking about the final 2 seconds on this possession and what to do after the possession concludes, because they still do have a timeout remaining, and they're hoping that this will just be a 1-possession game.
Yeah, the first thing they've got to do, they've got to make sure that they don't foul. And secondly, they've got to get a stop, and if the ball is shot, secure the rebound.
Boone will toss it in. Looking. Throws it to right, turnaround jumper. It's an air ball, and that will give it back to Coppin State. Ooh, right. Lucky he wasn't called for an offensive foul there. It looked like he extended his arm out, but Coppin State ball nonetheless. 1 timeout left for Coppin State as Miller Jr. checks out.
Well, they don't want to call a timeout. Let the defense, actually they do.
So Tart dribbles it down, and he calls the final timeout for Coppin State with 4.2 left to go. And Lance, what do you think there? I mean, you call a timeout, sure, but now you kind of have decreased your opportunity here a little bit to get off a quality shot. 4.2.
Well, some coaches, and I thought they were not going to call a timeout because some coaches don't like to do that to allow the defense to get set. You know, in that situation, teams, you've seen it so many times, especially this time of the season where the ball is taken full court. They check the clock, and a shot is gotten, but now the defense gets the opportunity there to get organized. I expect them to do a lot of switching. Central
Looks like they're going to add, you'd have to think, some time there.
Yeah, maybe 3 or 4 tenths, maybe 4.8, 4.6.
Yeah, that is not going to be, we'll see what number they settle on, but I don't think it's going to be 4.2 seconds remaining in the game.
I think it'll at least be 2 to 3 tenths of a second more.
$5.2. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a full second. So that's a big help to Coppin State, you'd have to think.
Yeah, it is, because now you have time to inbound the ball and potentially make a pass. Can't get it going downhill, obviously, and dribbling to the basket, just not enough time. Hood made the big three a few moments ago, and looked defensively for North Carolina Central to do a good amount of switching. Not a bad idea to foul here, so you don't give up the three. Foul right away.
And Hood steps out of bounds.
Wow.
So the pass deep into the corner, and Hood could not stay in. It's a turnover, and back to North Carolina Central.
Wow, couldn't even get a good pass in. He called him out, but it looked like he traveled anyway.
Boom. In, and a collision there at midcourt with 1.8 left. And I think Randy Miller Jr. was trying to get a pass off down the floor, but he got fouled in the process with 1.8 left to go. It's double bonus now for North Carolina Central.
Well, yeah, if you're Central now, all you got to do is get it in. Good pass.
They do so, and Maltzby dribbles it out. That will do it. 77-74 win. North Carolina Central once again, Lance, battles adversity to come up with a W.
Well, yeah, Coach Moden, I'm not so sure that his guys aren't in better shape. And he realizes they are so good late in games executing. Even that last possession, certainly I probably would have fouled right away just because you didn't want to give up a three, but they did a great job defensively, forced a travel and or a turnover, stepping out of bounds. So just a great job by Central. I think this is the team to beat in spite of them being in second right now, Derek.
They've got another matchup looming against Norfolk State coming up, and we'll see how that goes. But tonight, another rally for North Carolina Central. They win it by 3. For Lance Blanks, our entire ESPN crew, I'm Derek Jones. Thanks so much for watching. Our final score from PEC Arena, it is 77-74 North Carolina Central. Good night from Baltimore.